AFC opponent, good team. So going to be a great challenge for this football team. We're excited for it.
I call my brother a lot. He calls me a lot. We talk a lot. But it's brother to brother. We don't talk much football during the season.
A little bit more of a ground game, a little bit more conservative, and got to get them on second long, third long, so we can really pin our ears back and take control of the game.
They're a very good defense. Kind of like our opponent last week. They're much better than their record indicates. It doesn't take long to turn on the film and you see their two edge rushers get after the quarterback, and they've done such a great job of mixing up their looks and bringing pressure. And whether it's safeties or linebackers that they're bringing, they do a great job of getting after the passer.
Serpentini Chevy Tailgate Week 9 off and running here at MGM Northfield. Mark Schwab, Josh Cribbs, Eric Metcalf with you for the big share, the big program. Gentlemen, how we feeling in front of this one? We were just talking in the run-up to this show. Last week, Jameis Winston, the big splash and excitement, they get the big win, all that jazz, and they were facing the worst pass defense in the NFL. They took advantage of it. Today, they get the best defense in the NFL. The Chargers have allowed 91 points on the year. The Ravens were over 200. How you feel about today?
I feel pretty good. Momentum, this game is built off of momentum. I don't expect this team to come out here and just lay a goose egg. I don't expect this team to forget all the momentum that they had last week, forget all the special plays, how they were able to throw the football down the field, how they were able to stay on track running the football. I expect Ken Dorsey to come out and do the same thing as well as far as the consistency and the play calling. These are things that we expect because we know them to be a decent football team and a football organization. Now, they have shown us otherwise in weeks past. But hopefully now that Jameis is at the helm, now that Ken Dorsey is at the helm, they had that momentum coming off the Baltimore week. We can see that there's brighter side to look for. May not come up in the form of a win. We're hoping that in Browns fans, but this is a good team, like you said, number one in the NFL on defense, and it could be problems for this Browns offense.
Yeah, when you talk about them playing against the number one defense in this league against the pass, I think it's a matter of where we can go consistently with this offense, and Ken Dorsey and Jameis being in their second week. I mean, going into the first week, it was like a rush job. You're now switching quarterback. You're now switching the guy who's calling the plays. But now you get a second week, so you get more comfortable with what he's able to do, what you're able to call, and what each of you like as a play caller and a quarterback. And so I think they go out here and they look better. It's going to be a tough one just because of the defense that is in front of them. But at the same time, it's a matter of, do they have winner's mentality or not? Do we treat this game like it's the fresh start and we're just going in there to win this game? Or are we just going to be like, oh, we're happy with that, we beat the Baltimore Ravens, and go and accept that?
I'm really hoping that it's a step up from last week. Like you just said, they had a week now and with the team that they have 2 weeks now with Ken Dorsey at the helm, calling plays. You would want to see some build off, some momentum off of the play calling, some type of different trickery, maybe screen, something to get this offense a spark against a good defense. They're going to come after Winston. They're going to come after him. He's a pocket passer. He's not the most mobile guy. So we need to be able to get our running attack going early. In order to provide this, team with some ability to throw the ball down the field, you have to be able to run. That's the rule, the rule of thumb. If you get the run game going, that open up for everything else.
Last week on the post-game show, you were talking so much about, Winston looked good and everything, but you really liked the play calling and the things that Dorsey did differently. And that's where, we could talk about this guy, does he match up with that guy, this guy, but some of that has nothing to do with the Chargers and everything to do with the Browns putting themselves in a position to execute the offense.
Right. Now, I always say the play calling can help players. I mean, we can look at the offensive line, per se, last week, and they look better than they had in the previous weeks. And I think that has to do a lot with the play calling, because they're putting them in a situation where they're able to protect, as well as they're protecting those players in the scheme that they're running.
Absolutely. I've been saying that for a long time is, taking the players that you have, and Stefanski can do that now. looking at as a whole, kind of quality control a little bit and saying, hey, let's change this. They run these plays good, and to find where he can be of some assistance, which I know he is, to Ken Dorsey. Hey, these plays might work better with this offensive line. Nick likes this. Jameis looked like he'll have success here, and however you call your plays, I think these plays will work.
Well, in a Kevin Stefanski offense, the tight end is always important. We know David Njoku, always a big part of this offense. Jordan Akins, another guy that can get involved. Ashley Holder had a chance to talk with him in Berea.
Well, just getting into the offense, Jameis Winston is now taking over for Deshaun Watson. What do you feel that Winston can bring to this struggling offense right now?
His leadership is outstanding. He's a guy that's attention to detail, so he keep us at the practice. We walk through plays and everything, so it'll be interesting to see how the offense move with him. I think we'll definitely be on one accord, and we'll definitely, move the ball.
Jameis has a lot of energy. He's always giving pep talks and stuff like that. Do you feel like that's him all the time, or is that just, here and there?
All the time. All the time. Even if you like a player that's not really playing, or you're working on your craft, Jameson's the type of person that come over there and give you like advice on the small things. Like I say, his leadership is outstanding. He's a great guy, and he definitely has an eye for talent. So he's definitely going to try to get the ball in the playmaker's hands.
How awesome was it just to see Nick Chubb back on the field? Obviously, there was a nice warm welcome for him coming out of the tunnel and then getting a touchdown. Just how good was it to see Chubb back on the field?
I mean, it's everything. I mean, he's the engine of the team. He definitely, he definitely moved the ball for us a lot. And for me, like coming off a ACL myself, or I know how it is. It's basically mental, and I think he did a great job coming out playing without a brace and knifing it and getting vertical, and especially getting in the end zone. That's all you want. So,
through 7 games, how have you seen yourself grown so far, just in this season alone?
A lot. As far as special teams, man, I do everything. Blocking, and now offensively, catching the ball, getting the ball in my hands, let me make plays, doing what I'm comfortable with doing, and, growing and just making plays for the team and just trying to score and, motivate the offense.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jordan. I appreciate it.
All right, Jordan, Josh, you know him a little bit. You had a little bit of a coaching stint with Houston.
Yes.
You remember him.
Yes, and one thing I can say about Atkins is that, he has been a staple, more so with Deshaun, but he surprises guys with his ability to catch the ball and move it down the field with yards after catch. He is looked at as just a possession type of tight end, possession receiver. But when he does catch the football, he's a tough load to bring down, so he can be useful.
Well, let's see what he does today. We are off and running here on the Serpentini Chevy Tailgate at MGM Northfield. When we come back, Browns may have found a guy. They're going to go looking for a win later there at Huntington Bank Field. By the way, here's a Charter Spectrum poll. I love this question because we'll talk about this at some point. Browns going to make another trade before the deadline. Boy, that's close, and you can make a point. You can make a case for either side of this. Stick around. Tailgate continues here on 19.
I'm a competitor, so I knew obviously we had great guys in the receiving room. So I just try to work, put my head down, work, and I knew when opportunity comes, I would try to make the most of it.
Now, Bench Strength, sponsored by Wayside Furniture.
All right, it seems like we won't be able to talk about Cedric Tillman much longer as a bench guy because he has come off the bench and been a huge thing for this team in the last couple of weeks. So, guys, is he the guy or is he the guy for now?
He can be a guy, and he can be the guy, meaning for our future. I think they are doing just what they need to do with him, feed him the rock, promote him, and preview him. If anything, and this is, I don't want this to happen, they can put him up on the trading block if necessary because he's gaining so much valuable attention with putting up one stats. I was always big on him. He's one of the biggest receivers we got that's active on the roster right now, and he is taking a lot of attention away from your Judy as far as in the defense. So he's allowing other guys to get open, the Judys, the Chiefs, and allowing the quarterback and Jameis to spread the ball around. But when you throw him the football, he catches it. That's the biggest thing. And he has that yards after the catch and the big play mentality. He had got hit by 2 guys on the last catch and still was standing tall and was able to get a little bit of yards after catch moving forward. That's what you need out of a number 1 and a big-time receiver like that.
Yeah, and I think the Cedric Tillman that we're seeing, or we have seen in the last couple of weeks, is the Cedric Tillman that they drafted him
exactly.
to be. They saw him doing all these things when he was at Tennessee. They saw him making these contested catches in the end zone, going up over guys, and that's who he can be. I think a lot of this has to do, once again, with the plays that are being called and the way they're scheming these guys open, because earlier in the season these guys they're running routes, but their separation was they didn't have as much separation. Now the way they're scheming plays and the concepts in the pass game that they're running, these guys are wide open now and they're getting more opportunities to make plays.
The more he catches the football, the more he has success. He's going to have so much confidence and swag about his game. Yep. He's going to be a number 1. He's going to start to walk like it. He's going to start talking like it, and it's going to play like it. So we're just excited that first he's playing like it, and now everything comes, and that's how you want it to happen, and everything follows behind like it should.
They took Jabari Thrash in the middle rounds of the draft this year. They took Tillman a couple of years back. They took David Bell a few years, and this is an example of you throw enough darts at that position. You don't have to do. If you throw enough darts in the draft, you're going to hit at some point, and it feels like they may have found their hit.
Yeah, and when I think when you talk about these guys that they drafted at the wide receiver position, I don't think it was about them going out there and finding a true number 1. I think it was about them finding guys who can fit the system and make plays, and that's what we're starting to see.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about the injured guys and a couple big ones on the defense. JOK, Denzel Ward. That's going to be a conversation there with both of them because they've had some scary stuff going on. Huntington Bank Field, there's the scene today between the Browns and Chargers, 2-6 against 4-3, and that's our Charter Spectrum poll. Should the Browns make another trade before Tuesday's deadline? Cleveland19.com's place to go to vote. Back in a flash on the tailgate.
MGM Northfield Park has so much to offer. A bet MGM, though, we're talking about with what you can wager on. Cash love it with all those details.
Well, you can wager on all your favorite major sports, football, baseball, college, hockey, but you can also do some off-the-wall things like the Olympics and some of the different UFC and smaller fighting stuff.
I love it. And what else I love is entertainment. Let's go check out what else you've got to offer here. So I made my way down to the entertainment venue here at MGM Northfield Park. What is this?
So this is our concert venue, center stage, and it seats just over 1,800 people.
And you've seen a lot of big names come through here.
We have. We have had some world famous artists in here, such as Diana Ross. We've had Ringo Starr, Tom Segura, Dolly Parton. You name it. We've seen quite a few.
And a lot more to come. Where can we get more information to come out and see a show?
Yeah, absolutely. You can visit our website at mgmnorthfieldpark.com and find information on any upcoming shows there.
Wonderful. Maddie, thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin, has Jeremiah been around the building this week?
Yes, yes. He's doing better. Obviously, he continues to talk to the doctors and work through the rehab and all those type of things, but he's doing better.
The Injury Report, sponsored by the man that makes them pay, Tim Misney.
All right, so this was the last injury report with the guy from the Browns. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah on Friday was not on the IR, but they put him there yesterday. We'll still got Ward to talk about as well, but let's start with JOK. And some people were wondering, where did that come from? Because the injury was Sunday. Why wait till Saturday? I mean, it's a neck. At some point, if you see something, any flag along the way, shut him down for what he needs to be shut down for.
I think when you're looking at, where we are in the season, we usually have the triage type of, get these guys ready so they can fight again, and not get these guys ready so they can live a healthy life. If our season was, more in a playoff format, I think, 2 games, they'll rush them back, get them healthy as much as rehab, but we're not in that position any longer. And a guy like JOK, he's a future, he's going to be here for some years. And they, renewed his contract, gave him money. JOK is going to be a staple on his defense. Get him healthy and let him come back when he's ready to play at the level that he's been playing at.
And I'm waiting till Saturday. A lot of times it's on the player, because the player is telling the medical staff, I'm feeling good. I'm getting better. So I think I'll be ready. And then they're getting, as it gets closer and closer, they then decide maybe I'm not ready, because they start to really think about the life after football and things like that. And so he's saving himself from himself.
Right.
And that's what I like.
That's
about
hard.
this.
Guys don't usually get that done. And with guys like Diabate, Mohamed Diabate, who's playing really good, I think we're allowed to feature those guys and see guys like that step up.
And speaking of life after football, another one of those conversations about Denzel Ward, his 6th concussion, went through a limited session on Friday. I guess there's a shot he plays. We'll get the inactives here soon, but boy, it starts to get scary.
I don't want to take nothing away from the concussion. We both had several, and we can't count on 2 fingers how many, big time hits that we've taken back in the day that would have been classified as a concussion that wasn't classified at all. So you see a guy like Denzel Ward, when he has the jersey on and he's on the field, he is producing at a high level. So we just want him healthy. So whatever he has to do, whenever he feels like he can go out there, he's out there. Whenever he can't, it's best to hold that guy, because he can play. He's another guy who can be a staple on his team and play in the Browns jersey for years to come.
And now that they're really documenting concussions and how many a guy gets, when we're talking about 6 over the course of a couple years, that's when you really start to worry. And not only is he getting these concussions, he's not even wearing the Guardian helmet. And that's what I think. If you're even going to go out there and try to play with the amount of concussions he's had, he should probably wear that just to protect himself.
Well, a lot of times it's not the hits. It's not the frontal hits. Right. It's the whiplash. Jumping in the air and then falling back and hurting and whiplashing your neck and everything.
Hopefully Denzel gets right here and doesn't get out there until he's 100% clear of the protocol. Tailgate continues right after this.
Now the Pigskin Poll, sponsored by Hyundai.
All right, so we do this poll every week. We run it through the newscast, and we ask you to go online, vote, and say we'll talk about it. And the question to me is, who will be the Browns' starting quarterback this year? I have said this all week.
Next year.
Next year. I've said this every time I put this on the screen this week. The question is not who should be.
Right.
The question is who will be. And for me, that is why the answer is Deshaun Watson, because the injury does not change the contract. It doesn't change the cap hit. Am I wrong?
You said it right. Should be. That changes the question. That changes the answers as well. And I try to get fans and people to understand the business of the NFL is the contract. The business of the NFL is not the best players will play. It's the best players at the best money will play. And that's always been the case because the NFL is entertainment. It was a time where, you know, I felt like celebrating in the end zone. That made us look like less than athletes. But it's entertainment. It's not professional athletes. It's entertainers. And it's a business. So if we're paying somebody 70 to 100 million guaranteed, he is not going to be on the sideline. No matter how people feel emotionally, he will be the starter.
Hey, when you're talking about $46 million a year, sitting on the bench as a backup, that's hard. That's hard for anybody to swallow. So I don't see where it could be Jameis or someone else. I mean, like you said, should be or what's the right answer? There's no real right answer. It's about money when we're in this situation. And you know, and I'm a Deshaun fan, and so I don't think I'm not saying that he should play just because he's Deshaun. I just think that when it's all said and done,
let's pop the results up. Let's see
money.
what the folks said. I have a feeling none of them are going to say Watson because they read it as should has.
Right.
Six.
Somebody else.
I think 6% of the people understood the question.
Right.
People
still understood. I had that argument with people. People think that they should forego the money and let him be a coach on the
cap hits 170-some million for next year.
But people can't fathom that money over winning. They don't care. They're like, hey, you can pay less for a quarterback and win and still have him on the roster. That's how people feel.
But then you're not paying less because you're still paying.
You're still paying him. And I'll tell you what, the only way out of that
you're
is
winning, though.
If you draft a kid and you say you play the kid over Watson, the money situation does stay the same. Watson is on the roster. The rookie's on the roster. You still have the same amount of dollars allocated to the quarterback room.
Right.
You do look ridiculous. And they might end up in that situation. But for right now, week 1, you're telling me it's 4 because they can't get him off the roster.
If he's healthy, he's playing.
That's true.
That's just a fact.
If he's healthy, he's playing.
That's just a fact.
Just
no matter
facts,
how we
man. The facts are we actually have to say goodbye to Josh because they need you on the field at like 12:15 or something.
Yes.
All right, so he's going to skate from MGM Northfield. Me and Met will take you home. Josh, good stuff as always. We'll catch you in the Giannino's Pizzeria 5th quarter.
Go Dogs.
No tickets.
After the program.
No tickets driving down.
Yeah, let the man drive. Let the man drive. Tailgate continues right after this. We're at MGM Northfield.
Now, Around the AFC, sponsored by Toyota Dealers.
All right, Mark Schwab, Eric Metcalf back with you at MGM Northfield. We've reached the Joe Flacco segment of the program. We seem to have one every week because he's fairly relevant, and he's back in the news again this week. They've benched Anthony Richardson. They're going with Flacco. Let's start with Flacco. They got a chance to win. They kind of felt like they had to do this, didn't they?
They did, and I mean, I think it's from watching Joe play last year in this situation with the Browns, he is a winner. Like he said, he's been in there 17 years, and he knows how to win. He's a veteran, of course, and so it gives them the best chance to win right now. When you're talking about these young guys, a lot of them, they're not ready for this. They haven't been coached to play in the NFL. They've been coached plays, but not coached as players. And so Anthony Richardson, I mean, he came out of the game last week, and a lot of people didn't like that, and because people have never seen that before. And so I think as far as that goes back into a leadership role that Joe Flacco will have over him, which very well could give him a better chance to win.
When they put him on the bench, we heard from their coach, and we heard the same type of language earlier with Carolina's, we owe it to the organization. And for me, that is cleaned up coach speak for I can't lose the locker room. Because there are guys in that room that'll, they won't say it publicly, but privately they'll be like, what are we doing here? Am I right?
Right. I mean, because especially when you're talking about the quarterback position, like I said, we have never seen somebody take themselves out of a game before because they're tired. They're tired, not a quarterback. We've seen other positions do it, but a quarterback. And so if you're going to use this guy as your leader, it makes it hard for me as a player to follow him, knowing that if it gets tough, he might come out the game. And so now you got a Flacco who we know is going to go out there and give his all, whether he wins or not. But you know he's going to give the best Joe Flacco he can be.
Let's pull up the docket, the games around the AFC today. The Steelers are on bye. I know we usually talk about what's going on within the division. Miami and Buffalo, Vegas, Cincinnati. The Bengals still think they're in this thing. I don't know how they came up with that. Denver at Baltimore. There's your divisional games. And Indy at Minnesota. And okay, Flacco's getting back. Here's a question for you, Met. People talked about this with Bryce Young, too. He's been put back in now. Are teams benching quarterbacks too quickly?
You know, I don't know. I don't know if they're benching them too quickly. I think they're not developing them enough early before they put them in, right? And so I think, like, let's take a Patrick Mahomes, for instance. He came in and he sat the bench and watched and then Andy Reid finally put him in towards the end of their year, and look who he is now because he was able to go out there and watch. And now these guys are coming, they're being picked in the first round. They're immediately thrown in the fire and don't have any idea how it works in the NFL.
I'll tell you what, I can't remember. As we throw to break, I'll send it out with this thought. I don't remember a quarterback who was drafted high in the first round, future of the franchise type guy, that sat the whole first year, played later, and then turned into a bust. They sit that year, it seems to insulate them. But when they get thrown in right away, you never know what's going to happen. But I also understand there's a high draft pick, there's money involved, the owners want to see the new flashy toy, whatever it is, and it just doesn't work out. The tailgate continues right after this. Our Charter Spectrum poll, by the way, will the Browns make another trade in front of Tuesday's deadline? Get online, vote. We'll talk about it in a bit. Stick around.
Now the Quick Picks, sponsored by Kia.
All right, Tailgate continues here at MGM Northfield. Mark Schwab, Eric Metcalf. They are making picks now for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Couple of semifinalists we're going to talk about. We're going to start with Marty Schottenheimer. Obviously won a lot of games here. You did not play for Marty in Cleveland. You did in Washington. You were there for like 20 minutes.
For 17 minutes.
About 17 minutes.
17 minutes.
But you obviously were aware of his legacy here when you got here, and you did play for him a little bit. Your thoughts on him being this far in the process?
I think it's great for him. I mean, he did a lot for the Cleveland Browns organization and took them to the AFC Championship a couple of times, as well as what he did with Kansas City. And so Marty has done a lot. He's a very good coach and innovative, and I think he should get a chance to get in.
What was it like to play for?
He was passionate. You know, he's a former player, so he loved being able to coach guys into doing what he did as a player as well. So I just like the fact that he just brought me in late that year, and then he just took me out there and was like, well, we need you to help our team, because he believed that he was trying to bring the best out of me.
All right, Art Modell, another semifinalist. You absolutely played here when Modell was the owner. It feels like this could be an entire show in of itself. I'll just phrase the question this way, because I don't know what your relationship with Modell was like. How do you feel about seeing him on this list?
See, you're trying to get me in trouble with the fans.
Open-ended.
You're trying to get me in trouble with the fans of Cleveland. But, you know, Art drafted me. I know people don't like the fact that he moved the team out of Cleveland and everything, but when we're talking about Monday Night Football and what that did for the league and everything, you kind of have to put him on this list. And, you know, this team was good. They went to the AFC Championship 2 or 3 times, 3 times, I believe, and had the opportunity to get in the Hall of Fame.
The best argument I've heard, the best summarized argument I've heard against Modell came from Tony Grossi. I give him credit for this all the time, because it basically one line kills the case for me for him to go in.
Okay.
The guy ran off Jim Brown, fired Paul Brown, greatest running back ever, greatest coach ever. Ran off the greatest running back ever, fired the greatest coach ever. Neither was the worst thing he ever did. Now, I understand what you're talking about.
You pulled me in. I'm with you there.
Grossi, he summarized it perfectly. Great writer. I mean, here's the thing for me. Monday Night Football and the big with TV rights. Like, nobody would have ever thought to put the NFL on television more. It's one of the greatest products we've ever had to give to the American population. And if not for Art Modell, nobody would have ever went, boy, we really ought to put this on TV. I don't know. Really, like this would be on AM radio and Morse code, people beaming in updates of what happened? Somebody would have done that. That's not that big of a contribution.
Okay, I'm with you.
Now, I've already got him.
Okay, you got me. I'm with you now. You got me. Okay.
I've already swayed him.
You got me.
That's just where I'm at. It's a completely illogical argument. Nobody would have thought of that.
You got me. All right. All right. You win. You win.
It's not just you, but everyone is, oh, boy. Oh, my goodness, you look at the contributions of television. Boom! All right, let's go to the inactives. They are out, and there's something worth discussing here. We do not see Denzel Ward on the list. I've got to imagine he's playing.
You have to. I mean, or he would be on that list. I think, obviously, they feel like he's able to play. He's gone through the concussion protocol and seems to be fine. You want your best players out there. And so when I look at this team and how they're trending, I think they're trying to win these games. They're trying to see what can happen with this season. So in order to do that, you have to have your best players out there.
You need to have your dudes. And apparently, if he's cleared, so he's cleared. And Amari Cooper, by the way, inactive for Buffalo. He picked up a wrist injury. I know he caught the touchdown in his first game for them, but it's been a little bit of a slow start. Now the big bump in the road for him in Buffalo.
Yeah, and I mean, it was a slow start here, and he went there, had a touchdown, and everybody felt good about it. But Amari's on the back 9 right now.
Yeah.
He's 30 years old, and so he's starting to get injured. Now these injuries start to come up more frequently, and I hope it works out for him, but we'll see.
We talked about Cedric Tillman earlier in the show. Yeah, the Browns have been okay without him in that sense. But, you know, Elijah Moore, we've suddenly seen him, and I don't know if that was play calling. We kind of talked about that, if that was Jameis just getting the ball to him where he needed to be, but Elijah Moore has been a lot better. There's our Charter Spectrum poll of the day. Will the Browns make another trade before Tuesday's deadline? They got to trade Zadarius Smith, if that's me, but we'll kick that around in a bit. Tailgate continues from MGM Northfield.
Now, the Big Run Report, sponsored by Dunkin'.
All right, before we start talking about Chubb and Dobbins, we're going to run through some chow here because they brought it out at MGM Northfield. The menu never disappoints. We're going to start with the salmon hash and eggs. I can tell you, Eric Metcalf, a Seattle guy, knows his seafood, knows his salmon. You love that.
I love this. I love this. I got to have it. That's mine.
That's his.
That's
He's just
mine.
calling it. We're going to put up a little barrier there.
Yep.
That's Metcalf's.
Yep.
Looks great. The Huevos del Toro. I like it because I can roll my R's. And it's got a little jalapeno on there. It looks a little tasty. That looks really good. And Southern biscuits and gravy. I mean, it's biscuits and it's gravy. That is an American classic. You can't mess it up, and they do it well here. Good stuff here. Come on down to MGM Northfield. That is their tap brunch menu, and they always take care of us here on Sundays. We love doing the show from out here. All right, so we're going to do some run game talk here because Nick Chubb was named a team captain, and he just gets healthier and healthier every week. And we haven't seen it yet, and it makes sense that we haven't seen the Nick Chubb explosion week. But at some point, I don't know if it's this week against this defense. I feel like we're going to see it at some point, though.
To me, we've seen it, though.
Okay.
We've seen Nick come back and make plays. He's able to be explosive. He's made people miss. He's shown some power in running over guys. We just haven't seen a 40, 50-yard run yet. And it's going to come. I mean, he got more carries last week than he did the first week, and so it takes time for these plays to happen because we all as running backs want a long run. We just don't get them all the time, and so I think he keeps plugging, and the way this offense is playing, the way they threw the ball last week, will open it up for him to get those runs.
Chargers get J.K. Dobbins back this year from the Achilles, and we've talked about the Achilles a little bit because of the Watson injury, and that traditionally, that injury has been almost a career killer for running backs. Dante Foreman of the Browns was the first to really have a decent career coming back from that. Since then, we've seen some other guys do it. But Dobbins, to me, is the best example of it because he came back week 1 and has been really good for them this year. Tailed off a little bit, but clearly the injury is not a problem. He's been great.
Right, and obviously attacked his rehab and got stronger, and now he's like on this team and he's running the ball well. He's doing a great job, and so people can see when you get an Achilles in this day and age, it's easier to come back from.
These are probably the 2 worst injuries a running back could have. Both running backs in this game has had. Nick Chubb destroyed every ligament in his knee, and he ripped the Achilles. I don't know, what's the worst injury you ever had to come back from? I know it wasn't one of those.
A separated shoulder.
Okay.
So the separated shoulder, I separated my shoulder my 3rd year in the league, and I could have come back after 4 weeks off injury IR, but we weren't going to playoffs, so they said, don't worry about it.
Just shut her down and get healthy. That goes along with some of the stuff we were talking about earlier. All right, the Charter Spectrum poll of the game, and we'll talk about this a little bit next segment. Will they make another trade before Tuesday's deadline? Cleveland19.com, place to go to vote. It's close to 50-50. We don't get many 50-50s on this one. Huntington Bank Field, the scene today. Browns and Chargers in a game. The Browns basically have to win out if they want to get back into this thing. You're darn right they got to win it. Tailgate continues right after this. Oh, he didn't. Okay.
Follow the Money, sponsored by Cardinal Credit Union. Follow the Money, sponsored by Cardinal Credit Union. Follow the Money, sponsored by Cardinal Credit Union.
All right, following the money here, the odds, the spread, all that jazz. So Chargers getting a 1.5 here. So let me ask you something. Home dog. Do players care about that, know about that, be annoyed by that, being underdogs at home?
They act like they don't know about it, but they do know about it.
Okay.
And people pay attention because, you know, especially we're talking about pros, and they think the Chargers can beat us. they're not that good, but at the same time, the spread is put up there because people think the Browns aren't that good right now. And so players do look at it. They pay attention to it. They try to act like they don't. They just want to go out there and prove whoever made the spread that they're wrong.
Yeah, and the people that set the spread, by the way, it is important to point out, they just they basically set a number that they think will get the most money on both sides.
Right.
They're just really trying to they're pot stirrers. That's what these people, they are financial pot stirrers.
They're trying to make money.
All right, so we've been running this poll. I want to pop it up. First we have to talk about tickets. We did this a little bit ago.
Right.
What are they? Producer Pike, popping them up. What are they going for today? It was like $12, $13. We can't see it with the graphic down there. Follow the money, but they're going cheap at this point. Around $15, $20 tickets. That's up a little from last week. See, you beat the Ravens.
I said that. I said it's going to be up $18 this week after that win. So, $20 that's a good cheap ticket to come see the Browns. People want to see the Browns, and so if you can bring your whole family in at $20, you got to feel good about it. They just want to see them win.
They did it last week, $12, $13. They see them win. So, all right, we've been running this poll. It's our Charter Spectrum poll. Should the Browns or will the Browns? Not should. It's will they make a trade before Tuesday's deadline? I don't know. I feel like they have to. What do you think? You've been a player. You've been in that room, though.
I'm 50-50 because I know we need some draft capital. I know we need that, but at the same time, going into this season, everyone looked at this team and said, "This is a playoff team. This team could be actually better than it was last year." And with that in mind, you have the same guys. Mm-hmm. So why blow this team up? Try to get everybody healthy. Try to get this team better on offense as far as the passing game and see what can happen. I know we need draft capital, but at the same time, this team was very good.
So the way I always look at this, you should trade anyone you don't think will be with you next year.
I get that.
But you start to, there was that trade room where somebody popped an idea to send Myles Garrett to the Lions. Oh, no, that is torch and pitchfork territory. You do not trade Myles Garrett. You cannot trade Deshaun Watson. That's been well hashed out. You trade anyone you think won't be here next year. Otherwise, keep them.
And that makes sense, especially if they're not helping as much as you would like this year.
Yeah.
Right? So, but if they're really helping them, you just try to get as much as you can to make your team better. If you're not trying to make your team better, you're not doing your job.
All right, so a guy passed away named Dub Jones, D-U-B, not Doug, Dub. Former Cleveland Brown has had the record for 6 touchdowns in a game. He was 99 years old. We had a good run. What's the most touchdowns you scored in a game between college, high school, NFL?
Well, it's 4. In high school, I scored 4, but it was in a half.
Is how many?
It's 4 and a half in college, and then my coach took me out. And in the pros, I scored 4. Or I went with the Browns, I scored 4 against the Raiders.
You had 4? I don't ever remember that.
Yeah. Should have been 5.
I love that he remembers it. Yeah, but let me tell you how I got hosed. How did you get hosed out of the 5th?
Because Todd Philcox threw a ball that was short, and I had to come back for it. But if I didn't have to come back, I would have caught it running and scored.
So do you still talk to Todd?
I'm still mad at him.
You're still mad at him? Todd Philcox cost you 5 touchdowns. You would have had 8 in that high school game. I'm not trying to be on pace guy, but you were on pace for 8.
Yep.
All right, so we are not done with the Browns programming for the day. Obviously, there's a football game, and then we are back here on 19 with the Giannino's Pizzeria 5th quarter. That is a straight 5 o'clock. Sometimes the show starts right after the game on Channel 43. Other days it starts at a hard start, 5 o'clock on 19. Today it's the 5 o'clock. Me, Met, Josh Cribbs will be back, and we'll chop it up, hopefully talking about a Browns win. That would be fun. And if they do pull it off, and then they go trade a guy, man, you're going to have some angry players in that locker room if they rip off 2 in a row, and people are like, bye-bye. That's going to do it. A bye-bye for us from MGM Northfield. For Josh Cribbs, who was here and had to run, and Eric Metcalf, I'm Mark Schwab. We'll catch you after the game. See ya.
Go Browns.